go. All right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, you?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, unironically, although, just every time you do the hard bosses and you don't get a single drop, it always feels a little bit bad.
Yes.
It's just, life. So we have a Nightwalker, 224.
Yes.
How are you feeling on the
Considered
Nightwalker?
yesterday. Pretty good. I really like the class.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. It took a lot of node drops to get to where it felt good to mob as, but
Right.
um, now that my boost nodes are almost maxed out, it feels very, very nice.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of lines, right? So you need every single line to be boosted sufficiently to be able to have kill potential on all of your
Yeah.
skills. So for now, you're using, yeah. So 5 boost nodes, I think, is the final setup, right? Where you boost one skill one time and the other ones twice.
I'm not really entirely sure on that. I think I have one perfect trinode, and then everything else is just kind of filler
Kind of
to
scuffed,
get,
yeah.
yeah, to get bats and quintuple star up there. And now
Right,
I'm
right.
starting to work on the what's it called? The Get the name of the skill, but
Okay.
the big star, Shadow Spark.
Shadow Spark, right, right. Mm-hmm. Oh, it says you need 3 total nodes. Okay. Double quintuple, double shadow, double bats, double omen, and then one of what's the AoE Dominion or the other
Uh,
one?
Dark Omen, I think it is.
No, I think the double omen. There's one other skill. Oh, cross stitch or Dominion. I think
Yeah, the bind.
yeah, I think people typically take Dominion, but it's not super important. I think which one you pick, but I think yeah. So you want to get the other. Yeah, you want to get them split on 3 nodes. So you kind of don't want 2 quote unquote perfect tri nodes, as much as you want that in the beginning to save room. Eventually, you want it like split out over 3 nodes. Apparently. So 2 quintuples, 2 shadow sparks, 2 bats, 2 omens, and then 1 omen or stitch. What do you want?
Yeah, I'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah. But for now, it's fine to use more, right? So you can get those boosts in. So since we're on the topic of the V matrix, so this is like your would this be your bossing setup?
Yeah, the only difference is I normally just swap out decent HS right before I kill, and also when I'm mobbing.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people use Shadow Spear, but I only have it at level 1 and it doesn't feel that great, so I just put HS over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Greater Dark Servant, I don't really use that much because I don't feel like it's at a point where it's really doing much yet.
Right. Okay.
Um,
The bind is quite necessary for your burst, though, isn't it?
from Dark Servant?
No. I mean, well, so yeah. Oh, yeah. You have Dark Stitch, of course. Yeah. Sorry. Never mind. You don't need the second bind. That's only if you have a boss with like multiple stages or something, and the cooldown is like if you go through a boss very quickly, you could use the bind as well, right? Like if you do Lotus very quickly, you could like bind phase 2, then bind phase 3, something memey like that. But I guess you're not quite at the stage where that's super necessary, I guess. Yeah, I thought Shadow Spear was supposed to be pretty good always. I guess I can look it up. Shadow Spear, because it does so many extra lines, right?
Yeah, but it depends if it procs though.
On the ground every time you use a dark aspected skill. Is a burst skill? Yeah, it's definitely a burst skill. But it says 100% chance at level 1 to
Maybe I'm
form.
confused.
100% chance to form shadows to form on the ground every time you use a dark aspected skill. Shadows slowly gather into a spear, dealing 104% damage 4 times up to 8 enemies. If there are enough shadows, they coalesce into a giant spear that deals 416% damage 6 times on 12 enemies with a 3-second cooldown. I don't know, I used it on my CRA clear, and I'm pretty sure it did a lot of my damage. For bossing, at least. Yeah, for mobbing at a low level, I'm not sure how useful it is.
Yeah, I guess I could maybe swap it out for rope lift when I'm bossing. Or something, but then yeah.
Yeah, servant is for most bosses only typically during the burst itself, right? Like, you can plop it down, but the range isn't terribly big, and if you move out of the range with the boss, then it's just kind of sitting there. I was yeah. I don't know. Did you see my Project CRA clear on the Nightwalker?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I just had 2 boost nodes that were like 2 out of 3, I think, on Quintuple and Bats, I believe. And then I used... I didn't use Last Resort because that's a little bit high risk and I'm not super comfortable with the controls of the character. But I basically just used all the V skills, basically. And then... Do you need Speed Infusion to hit max? You can hit max attack with Speed Infusion, right?
Yeah, I think I need it. I haven't gotten it yet, and I didn't feel like crafting it because I've been focusing.
You've opened up a bunch of nodes and you still haven't gotten. That's quite unlucky. Yeah, maybe crafting that. Yeah, so I think that's what I used. So Sharp Eyes and then the 4 V skills. And then, just because it's so burst heavy, right? And then with the bind, with the spear, with the dark omen, with the triple shadow partner duder, all of those at the same spot. Final resort might have been, or last resort might have been better for me, but yeah, I just felt that it was a bit too risky with not knowing proper character control. Although the fourth V with like the giant stars is like a nice short burst because you can cancel out of it, right? With the backstep skill?
Oh yeah, I know some people say it's like a big DPS loss most of the time though.
I think if you keep it up the whole time, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also locks you in air, so in some situations it can be useful. But yeah, and I think if you use it for the whole duration, I think it ends up being a DPS loss, yeah. But Spear, I think Spear is important for bosses. Even at level 1, I think it's definitely important to use. I'd say give it a try and see if you like what you see, or do a BA, you know, and then see what percentage of your damage it does, and then that should give you a bit more input on whether that's really good.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm trying to also rush as quickly to 230 as possible, because then when I get those 2 extra slots, it's going to be nice for Greater Dark Servant and the Shadow Spear for bossing.
Yeah, and then if you get even further, then you can consolidate the boost nodes, and then that can give even more room for like the Decence and for maybe like the Goddess Blessing and stuff like that for even more burst, right? So did you have any... wait, I'm going to look at the boost nodes real quick and see if there's like a good setup that you already have. That's double best with an omen.
I think
We want a spark. You need the one with the spark, definitely, right? Because you only have one with spark.
Yeah.
So that one is guaranteed, and then we have 1 bat and 1 omen.
There's 2 omens. There's one. Wait. No, yeah, you're right. Just 1.
And you have 1 with quintuple.
Yes.
So those 2 would need to be your base, but the one with quintuple also has a quad star, I think, right?
Yeah, that's just kind of a filler to get.
You've got 4 quad stars. Is quad star your highest level boost node?
No, quintuple is 60. Quad star is just, it's at like 14.
Oh wait, the quad. Oh right. So the quintuple one is the one on the top right. That's level
Yes.
13. Ah, yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah. So we want. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. The quad is the fill. Right, right, right. Okay. For some reason, the quad one looks more impressive than the quintuple one. So it's like a little bit
Yeah. I don't know.
counterintuitive.
I've just gotten so many quad stars, and I just got a really like I got bats and the quintuple on it, so I've kind
Mm-hmm.
of just been throwing them on there whenever I get it.
Right, right. Yeah. So if you take the level 13, level 8, then you have everything, and then the last one would need to be, the last one would have to like start with Dominion or with Stitch, which would be bad because then you'd have to extract 3 boost nodes, which would be suboptimal. If you take the level 9 and the level 8, then all you would need is a starting quintuple, which you have at 13, and then you want to reroll that one into one that has Omen and Spark instead.
All right.
And then you can get rid of the level 11 and level 9 now. And then you'd have, yeah, 1 Dominion, 2 Bat, 2 Omen. Yeah, you'd have to replace the Bat on level 13 with a Spark, and then you'd be fine. And then you can use those 3.
Okay.
I guess that's the one you were crafting the most, because that was level 13 already.
Yeah. I was doing that just to get max quintuple star.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, so the faster you can find exactly what you want, like you start consolidating, you get, because you get loss on shards, right? The efficiency on the shards goes down quite a bit. If you like, the higher you go, you'll just lose more and more shards. So once you get to like level 10, beyond that, you don't really want to be extracting because you're just losing a lot of possible value of other ones that you could be crafting instead.
Yeah, true.
And you know, since nodes are already pretty rare to come by and pretty expensive to get good nodes, so probably a good idea to not go too far further at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, does that kind of clear up the matrix and to go to the future for that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess we kind of skipped the other questions. Like when you play the game, what are you looking forward to doing, like on a daily, on a weekly basis?
Well, I like seeing how I progress through like bosses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy just farming on this character and leveling. I have a Kana, but I honestly hate playing it.
Okay.
So
That's not for everyone.
I don't know. And I'm not too big of a fan of doing Legion. That's why it's kind of low. But I know I got to work on that at some point.
Yep. So it's mainly just, you know, just slow and steady leveling here and there, and then just so the bossing are like the big milestones that you're looking forward to whenever you can do the new boss.
Yes.
So what's the last milestone that you reached in terms of bossing?
Well, I've been able to do 3-door in practice mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can get Vellum solo to about 50% HP, but it's mostly like I think I could kill it if my mechanics were a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
That's so hopefully I can clear that one soon.
Mechanics can help. So you have equip wise. So you've got 3-piece here. You have some Abzo stuff. Okay. Well, I'm about to tell you that once I'm done with you, you're gonna be able to do it easy without even changing your mechanics that much. You excited?
Yes.
Okay. And then after the Cvel, you're looking for, because does your guild do like Lotus and Damien runs, that kind of stuff? Are you planning on joining those?
I'll probably just try to find. I'll see if I can join a party in my guild, but most of the people in my guild are like they're already past like just soloing low main, so they'll just bring people along,
right.
When they have a chance.
That's how you got your pieces on the.
Yeah, that's how I got the coins for my glove. But I've had this character for a while, but
Mm-hmm.
and I recently came back. Like I started this character, I don't know, probably about like a year ago, and then I played up to one droid, and because it was so buggy, I quit.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I didn't hit the heart. But and then I came back at the start of May, so I missed out on all the good compensation. I just got the flames that I pretty much.
Oh, okay. On the unfortunate timing on that.
Yes.
That's okay. We'll work around that. Okay. Yes, it is the Quad Star one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I think what the main thing is that's holding you back is IED. That's what's making Vellum much trickier to kill. So if you're gonna get into IED, are you ready for a crash course in IED calculations and how that works?
Yes.
What do you know so far?
I just know it's like almost. It's really hard to hit 100%, and
yes, that's true.
That's about all I know. And the higher it is, the more damage you do. That's about it.
Yeah. So like the visual representation of this is like you have two people. Like let's say that you're standing on one side of the room, and then the boss is standing on the other side of the room, right? And then the ID stat is basically like the percentage of ID is the distance between you two. So if you have 100%, then you're like, you're touching noses, like Eskimo kissing. And if you're at 0%, then you're at the max distance away from each other. And then, the more PDR the boss has, the more defense the boss has, the bigger the room is, basically. So the percentage that you get closer is always the percentage of the distance that's left between you. So if you have, let's say that you have 100 sources of 10%, every time you take 10% of how much distance is left between you. And mathematically, that means the percentage of the total distance that you were in the beginning always goes down the more sources of ID you already have, right? But you're always getting 10%, 10%, 10% closer. And it also means that you can never reach 100% as a result mathematically, because you're always taking 10% of whatever is left. So you're never at 100. Does that make sense?
I get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
So that also means that if you can choose between getting 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, or you can get 40% one time, both seem to do 40% added up, but one chunk of 40% will take 40% of the starting distance, and the 10% ones will take 10% of increasingly smaller chunks, and therefore a small amount of huge chunks of IED therefore is more efficient than a lot of small sources of IED. Now that doesn't mean that the small sources don't add something, but if you can choose between a large source and a small source spread over more more lines or more attributes, then it's more efficient to go for the larger source. That's why like the IED in your hyperstack can be really good, because that can keep stacking on an existing source and therefore become a bigger source of IED. Therefore, the Legion block that can go up to 40% if you get 6k Legion and fill the whole thing up. That's why that one is really good, because it represents way more IED. Does that all make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's say, and then for a mathematical example, so your IED is basically your penetration, right? You've played other games before, you have bosses have armor, you have penetration, right? If you go super high on the penetration, then all of your damage goes through, but you won't have that much damage because you're spending everything on the armor penetration. And if you don't take enough penetration, which is kind of the situation you're at, you can have a lot of damage, but since you don't have adequate penetration, the damage doesn't go through because the boss has too much armor. So we're trying to find a balance that makes sense for your account and that makes sense for the game. So when it makes sense for your account, we're talking about like opportunity cost. Are you familiar with that concept?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like just time in general.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Animate.
Yeah, well, that's one form of opportunity cost. The other one is that basically, so when it comes to time management, that's opportunity cost, right? If you spend 15 minutes on something, you can't spend it on something else, right? And you're trying to weigh like the value of 15 minutes spending on one thing versus spending 15 minutes on another thing. And what I'm talking about specifically is opportunity cost when it comes to gearing your character and upgrading your character. It's like, okay, if I go for IED on this item, that represents a certain amount of damage because it gives you more penetration, but also that IED line will go at the expense of possibly a line of boss damage or a line of attack percentage, which means that you're also losing damage. So it's all about knowing kind of where does the balance in my account need to be in order to know if the roll that you're getting is actually giving you more damage or less damage. So I'll help you figure that out, where that balance is, so that you can more specifically upgrade in a sense that actually makes you do more damage, right? That's what you said, like the higher you have, the more damage you actually deal, right?
Yeah.
So to get into like a mathematical example, for Vellum is, the one that you're having a little bit of trouble with. That one has 200% PDR, which means that if you have no IED whatsoever, you don't do any damage, right? If you have 50% IED, then you ignore half of his physical damage reduction, so you ignore 100%, so there's still 100% left, which means you have 100% final damage reduction, so you'll just hit once at 50%. So in your case, I'll get into the last part first, and then we'll complete the mathematical example. The last thing is the difference between your visual and your functional IED. So your visual is basically what you see in your stat window, and it's important to know that that number is actually not accurate. That number is rounded up, so if you're at so for example, you were at 63. So it's possible that you're at 62.01 and then it rounds up to 63. In KMS, they now made it so that it shows up to 2 decimals, so it's way more accurate. But it's still only accurate for visual. So what does this mean? The ID in your stat window will apply to every hit, like regardless of which skill you use and regardless of which target you hit. So it doesn't take into account specific skill boosts, passive stack boosts on you, or boss debuffs that apply. Basically, all of these 3 apply on hit, but your stat window doesn't know which skill you're going to use or which thing you're going to hit, right? So it's important to know your functional IED that is that you can have with 100% uptime, because that's what we want to. That's what we want to balance around. Like, so if your standard have 50% IED, but your skill has another 30 built into it, and you have a boost node that gives you 20, and you have some kind of passive that gives you like up to 40%, and you have some more, then theoretically someone with 50% IED could functionally be around like 94% or something, which could make it enough, and in your stage of the game would be like a dream scenario for IED. But someone else might have 50% visual and only have their boost nodes working, and then that's it, and then they would basically just do absolutely no damage. So to take it back, that all makes sense?
Yeah, I got you.
So to take it back to the mathematical example, Vellum has 200% PDR. So let's say your ignore IED is higher, right? Because you have that passive that gives you like, is it 35%?
I'd have to find it. I'm not sure.
Because I think it goes, I think it's 5 stacks and goes up to 7% in 4th job, if I'm not mistaken. And you can keep that with 100% uptime, right? Because it's like a debuff on the boss, I believe. Seaval used to have 300, yeah, but it was reworked to 200, like probably like a year ago at this point. Because I believe it starts at 4% or something per stack, and then it goes up to 5 to 6 to 7 as you upgrade it per job.
Each job it's about, the first job is 4%, but then after that it's like 1% per stack.
Yeah. So it goes up to 5, 6, 7, right? Second job 5, third job 6, fourth job 7, and then up to 5 stacks.
Yes.
Yeah. So that would be a 35% line. So let's say, because we can use like a calculator for that, and I have calculators. So I have like the app and then the sources, right? So I have the app that you can use. That's not mine, someone else's. But you basically can take all the sources you have and just throw them in, and then this will just shit out like the number. Like, oh, this is your functional IED when you're bossing. So this is a good number to know, because we're going to compare that to like the balance of what you want in the game roughly, and then that's the number you're going to be aiming for, and then that's the number we'll look at to see like this is what we want to reach, and therefore these are the things you should be focusing on, like these link skills, these hyper stats, maybe this line on your weapon secondary emblem, right? That's what's going to come from that, because this is your foundation. Because if you don't have enough penetration, your damage is just not going to go through, and all the money you're spending on getting extra attack and extra Starforce and extra luck, that's just going to give you diminishing returns. For mobbing, it's going to be fine, right? Because mobs don't have PDR, so you don't need IED there, and you'll be able to kill monsters around your level just fine. But for the bosses, you're going to run into huge problems. So when it comes to the sources, we can take it back to the mathematical a little bit. So let's say visually here you have 63, right? Let's just run with that number for now. If you add 35%, so remember like the distance between the characters, right? You add 35% of what's left between you and your target, which is at that point 37%, right? 100 minus 63. So you take 35% of the 37, which I think is around 10. I don't know exactly. What is 0.37 times 0.35? Oh, almost 13 actually. Wow, nice. A little bit longer. So that would take you up to like 76, right? And then every other source, I don't know if you have... Is this with ID familiars, for example?
Yeah, I have a 15% IED familiar.
Mm-hmm. And that's in this picture, that one is equipped?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that gets you closer and closer. So let's say that you are functionally at, well, let's take 75. That's a beautiful number, right? Let's say you're around 75. So what's going to happen is if Vellum has 200% PDR and you have 75% IED, you ignore 75% of his PDR, which is 150%. So he's still left with 50%, which means your final damage is reduced by 50% at this point. So you're only basically hitting half your damage on Vellum right now. So when you look at where you want to be, roughly, in this stage of the game, we see that you are, like early stages of the late game, right? According to this beautiful graph that this random guy made me. You'll see that you want to roughly be at... Can I just go down a little bit? Why is this not going at the right... There we go. You see that functional IED, you want to be roughly around like 92-ish. And that's mainly because of Vellum, and it's also going to be adding the other bosses after this. Helix coming. Helix is 250, and then basically Lotus and Damien and everything that makes any kind of sense after that all have 300% PDR, which means that every percentage of IED is going to be even more efficient because it's going to give you less final damage reduction. So in a way, more final damage, basically. And because Vellum, because Vellum has 200% PDR, that basically means that every 1% more IED you get, you'll get 2% more final damage going through. But because your current final damage is 50%, if you increase your current damage by 50%, you get to 75% of your damage going through, right? So what we want to do is if we get you to... Let's say that functionally we try to get you to 90% for now. 90% is typically okay for Vellum, but then beyond you want to go a little bit higher. But if we get you to 90%, you ignore 90% of the defense, so only 20% damage is through, right? 200 minus 90% is 180, so 20% final damage reduction, right? If you go from 50% final damage reduction to 20%, instead of doing 50% of your damage, you now do 80%, so you're increasing your damage by 60%, right? So if we just get you a bit more IED, we can already make you do more than half your damage extra. So that's why I said I think Vellum will be very, very doable. Because not only is it going to be easier to get through the burst phases faster, and you'll be able to burst super hard, but the boss runs are going to be shorter. Therefore, it's going to be way harder to die out. Way fewer like weird scenarios you have to overcome, right? So that's going to have like hopefully a positive snowballing effect to making the boss runs way more doable.
Yeah, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Does that all make sense for IED and why it's so important and why it's probably the main thing that's holding your damage back?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're going to mainly focus on that one because I'm assuming if you look at like your range and your rates and your other numbers, I think a lot of the other stuff seems decently on point. And I expect that you have a bunch of money saved up for tomorrow.
I'm gonna have about $1 billion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'm gonna really necessarily go for Starforcing. And I've been talking to like some people in my guild, and I think I was gonna try to roll more Meso Obtain, and just save my money and go for more cubes.
Yeah, so you still want to just stick to this character to play it and to main it, and also make your money through this character because you didn't like the Kana, right?
Yeah, and generally I don't farm more than outside of the amount of totems I get a month.
Mm-hmm. And the
So I don't.
flexibility is not necessary either. The extra flexibility from being able to just pop into the Kana and pop out again whenever you want.
Yeah, I was thinking if it really starts getting like to be like I need too much meso, like maybe when I get to, somewhere in, I don't know, like once I hit like 235 or 230, I start focusing on gearing one of those. But I just really don't enjoy playing the class.
Yeah. Okay. It's good that you know that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll work around that. And you do like Maple Tour and Ursus. You do that daily.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So with that being said, how much are you getting right now from the event buff?
I forgot to include that. Event buff, I have 5 attack, 10% ID, 10% against monsters, 10% boss damage, 5 crit rate, 20 arcane power, and 3% EXP, and 5% buff skill.
Okay, so 5 of your crit and 10 of your ID. That's the most important ones, right? Those are good because I want to make sure that we crit rate, we get you to like 100% the whole time. That's very important. And then ID wise, we keep you on track of the numbers here in the progression, that we keep you on track for IED the whole way through. Because crit rate is just your base for everything. You always want to crit. You always want to have your critical damage applied. That's going to be your basic kill speed when you're mobbing. And that's going to be just your damage output when you're bossing. That's just paramount. Always important. And then IED is basically like crit rate for bossing. If you don't hit a crit, your damage doesn't go through. If your ID isn't high enough, all of your damage just doesn't go through. So for those two things, those are going to be the main thing that we focus on in this session, is that we get you for where you are right now, we get you settled right now, and then for the future we lay out the path of like which sources of IED and crit do we pop into at which stages, and when do we switch over, where do we look for other alternative sources, so that we can make sure that foundation is solid. The other thing, of course, is your fee matrix and your nodes. That's very important for the final damage, but we already went over that part. And then the fourth big part is going to be Arcane Power and your symbols and doing your dailies. Yeah, of course, it's going to sting that you didn't get those 1,000 symbols. That would have been pretty huge, of course. But that's the other thing, just doing your dailies every day. Do you feel like that's something you can do every day, or is it something you don't really enjoy?
Yeah, no, I pretty much do those every single day.
Okay, cool. Double diz. And what are you clearing in Dream Defender at this point?
I cleared up stage 10. I could probably get to stage like 20, but I'm just kind of lazy. So,
do you guys have guild skills?
Yes.
Yeah, so the climbing can be the hardest part, right? You always have to find a new... you have to like alternate between all your skills to make sure that you don't use all your bursts in one go. I think the Dark Servant might be helping with that as well, right? You put him down somewhere, he'll just be hitting things while you're off saving the world somewhere else.
I didn't even think about doing that. Yeah.
So yeah, some like DOTs and stuff that you can place down, and like the Dark Omens and stuff can help quite a bit in the beginning. It would be a good idea to try to bundle all of your buffs that you can get, like a Deoji buff, Monster Park buffs, guild skills, maybe some extra half-hour things that you can just pull out of a hat, right? And then throw all of those together, and then try to climb as far as possible. Because I do believe once we go over the whole session and we figure the whole thing out, I do believe that you should be able to go up to 30 or maybe even 40. And every 10 floors is basically one extra symbol per day for the area. Is how you want to see it. So over the long term, that would make a huge difference, because Lacaline in general is the one that has the worst startup, because your main bulk comes from your bulk of your symbols comes from the tower, and the tower you have to build up through your levels. So Eventually, you will surpass things like Asphera and Morass until you get there, but that's 230 and 235, so that's a little bit further away. But like in once you get into Arcana, you just have the regular kill dailies, and once you get the hang of Spirit Savior, that's 18 symbols a day, like boom, immediately. But if in Lacaline you want to do 18 symbols a day, you have to clear like floor 130. So that's that's like the comparison between those two areas. So it might be a good idea to build the floors.
Yeah.
Yes, but the monsters in Dream Defender are boss monsters. So we'll look at boss damage, we'll look at IED. You don't need as much IED there. They mainly have pretty low defense, but they do respond well to extra boss damage. So that will be a thing that we look into. Okay. Yeah, the other thing that gives you final damage, the Arcane Power and the symbols, if you're doing that. Of course, the Arcane Power in the beginning will be very important, the Arcane Force Hyperstat, right? So you can hit those 10, 30, 50 marks to do extra final damage on the monsters that you're attacking. So that is quite, for mobbing, that will be quite important. For bossing, it'll be like a huge loss stat. But we should be able to get you to the point where you don't need to reset your hyper stats all the time, because that'll be a little bit tricky. We might reset it one time just to make sure that it's like set properly and that you can get all the damage that you need. But after that, you're not gonna be switching between two. That's like a min-maxy thing that people do once you're like surpassed 250 and the training gets really, really slow. That's when people tend to switch their hyper stats to be like a mobbing set and a bossing set. They go like full bonus experience, and then basically just enough drop rate to hit 100, and then full crit damage and damage when you're mobbing. And then when you're bossing, you're focusing more on the IED and the little bit crit rate, and then boss damage, and critical damage usually. But that's when you have so many points, to play around with, that it makes sense to min-max that. At your stage, we'll just look for one solid setup that will help you in both situations optimally. Cool. Yeah, so your friends were saying spending money, not too much on 5, 10, 15. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through everything, but I think I probably agree with that. That's probably good advice. If you, quote-unquote, only have one build, it sounds bad when people say that, of course, when a billion is, of course, a lot of meso, but in like the projects that you would have to undertake to go to those, one build wouldn't be enough. So you just basically be setting yourself up for failure and losing your money and possibly some items. So it's not an efficient way to go about that at this point. No. Yeah, when I look through your stuff, I do see like the equips and everything that you have is something that I usually would expect someone who's like 10 or 15 levels higher to have, which means that you probably skipped some steps in between, which does mean sometimes the transfer of power from one equip to the next didn't even get a chance to work. So we'll focus specifically on where the money can be spent, ideally. But first, we need to get the crit rate and the IED sorted, right? That's our most important thing to do. Okay. So and for that crit rate and IED, a lot of the sources are your favorite, Legion.
Yes.
You sound very enthusiastic about that one. My main advice is if you don't like Legion in the beginning, every single level you get at Legion, whether it's on your level 224 or whether it's on a level 60, every one level there counts as one level. With that in mind, if you make one new character a day and get it to level 60 and then just don't play it again, you have room for 21 more characters for their level to count in Legion, right? If you make 21 more level 60s, that's 1,200 levels that you're gaining right there. So that makes you, like, with the Terror Burns coming up in Neo, you're already over 4k at that point, which is already a respectable Legion. And it doesn't require a whole bunch of funding. It doesn't require endless hours of grinding on characters that you might never play and that you absolutely loathe. It's mostly just getting through the introduction stages, doing some early monsters, like some mixed golems, and and just getting to 60. There'll be a few characters that you actually might not hate that much. If you push those to 100 and then just Zakumon them every day at level 100, then you can get those to 140 slowly over time. And with that, you're probably, and with just your regular progress, you'll probably hit 5k in no time. well, not in no time, like not tomorrow, but like with minimal resistance, right? Without feeling like you have to take countless hours out of every single day just to work on progress that doesn't feel like it's directly affecting your main character. It will affect your main character. But my doctor's prescription would be to just make one character a day and get it to level 60, and then just do nothing for Legion besides that. If you feel like doing more, do more. But if you don't feel like doing more, then do nothing else. And then just do your regular dailies. Play on the Nightwalker, do a daily on another character, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I didn't think about doing that because I was just trying to like get, like, whenever I make a new character, I just try to rush it to 140. And I guess that's why I find it very boring. But getting to level 60, that's like not that much work in general.
No, and you can get a whole bunch to level 60, and then like I said, there might be a few characters you absolutely hate, then you just remember those, and then whenever there's a mega burn or a terror burn, you just burn them instead and get them done that way. Don't like suffer through a character just because you have to have Legion. Just burn it that way. Like, yeah. And if you actually like it, you know, get it to 100. Zakum every day, and it'll be 140 in no time, because Zakum is a lot of experience, and it's a lot of experience for a short amount of time. You just log in, kill Zakum, log out. Like, it's just a few minutes at most, but you get a lot of experience in those few minutes. And that way, with like minimal time invested per day in Legion, you can still make really good gains. Of course, now with the bonking, I don't know how actively you're working on that. There is some potential there, of course.
I don't really coin cap on any other characters. I coin cap on my Kana just to raise the and to raise the level, and then I just coin cap on this guy. But other than that, I don't really do much. I've been bonking a dual blade every so often, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think the bonk is like a really good set at, but like that's when you get through the step that we just talked about, and you basically have 4K, 5K, and you have like a bunch of 100s at that point, and some close at 140. Then bonking would be ideal. So the event for your event is coming a little bit too early for your situation. But bonking in general, and there's like bonking potions and stuff in Neo, so there's always going to be more stuff on the horizon. And yeah, it could feel a bit bad that you can't take full advantage of an event, but every single event is just really good for some people, and for other people it's kind of meh. Like for me, I've had an 8K Legion for forever, so like bonking just does absolutely nothing for me. There's like nothing for me to gain there whatsoever. So I just focus on the things I can gain from, you know, kind of just, you know. Every event can be the best event for everyone, except the Celestial Blessings event was insane. Did you miss that event as well? Oh god, did I just throw some salt in? Into the wound?
When was it?
I don't remember exactly, but if you don't remember, then you missed it. Because it was basically 4 weeks long, and every week you could choose your own buff. And it was either you had access to like a farming map for all your characters, half an hour a day, where you could just get crazy experience and you don't have to look for maps and stuff. You just go into the map and just train. The other one is you basically double all of the symbols, and at max level you could even triple all of the symbols for every single daily. Plus you would get nodes from every area once per day as well, up to like 70 nodes a day or some shit if you did all of the areas. And then the other one was where you would build up explosive power when you were mobbing, and then we'd get an explosion after like, I don't know, like every 50 monster kills or something, and it would give you like 3% experience per stack or something, and you could stack it up to like 50 times, so you could have like another 200%, I think at the max level, of bonus experience, up to 4 hours a day buff. And you could choose like which one you wanted for the whole week, and then next week you could choose again. And there were also skills on the sides that you could level with like bonus experience, faster orbs, better rune XP, free weekly boss monster coupons to double up on monster income. Like, yeah, it was a crazy event. But yeah, so if you don't remember that one, you probably weren't around.
No, I think I did that one with my my marksman, but yeah, he was
for the leveling.
Level 2. Yeah, but he wasn't level 200 yet. That was the first character I had on this account.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Also, maybe that event also came a little bit too early, maybe for you to take like massive advantage. Because there was like minimum levels for the level up area, so you would have to make a bunch of new characters. I know a lot of people did that, you know. That event sounds OP. Oh yeah, it was. It was really, really broken. Yeah, so I think for Legion that would be a good place to start. Of course, if you get to level 70, you know, just the extra 10 levels, then you can also access all of the level 1 link skills. But I would just focus on the Legion levels first, and then, you know, if you feel like doing a little bit more, reach for in for 70. And if you like the characters and you feel like there's not much resistance, you're actually like, oh, I'm okay with playing this a little bit more, get to 100, and then slowly Zakum your rate to 120 for the level 2 link, and then eventually level 140 for the Legion buff. And then with Terrorburn coming out, that should get you to 5.5, and like on the path to 6k. And I know right now it feels like impossible to get to 6k, but it's just slowly over time, because every new character just 60 more, 60 more, 60 more. Really, all the little bits add up.
Yeah. I think I'd probably go for 70 over 60, because Drakes are just very quick.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I don't know, like half an hour.
Yeah, you just get your third job, you get in there, boom, those 10 levels could be pretty fast, yeah. For sure. But yeah, like I said, like if it's something you generally don't really like, just make sure that you don't pressure yourself too much into doing that, because you want your overall enjoyment. At least that's what I always keep in mind, right? That's why I listen to what do you want, you know, what do you enjoy, and what are your milestones, what are you aiming for. You want to make sure that your overall enjoyment when you're playing the game, that you look forward to logging in, you look forward to playing, and it's not like, oh god, I have to do another character today, right? If you feel that, then just don't do a character that day, just skip that day, right? Don't make yourself feel bad for having to do certain things. But the downside is, like, if the main thing you want to do is, like, you know, make big milestones and kill stronger bosses and stuff, like the crit rate, IED, boss damage, critical damage, like a lot of that is just coming from Legion and Links. That's where it's coming from. So it's kind of mandatory at this point, yeah. But it will give you huge benefits, huge. So with that being said, for Neo, for the Terrorburns, did you already have any idea on which classes you wanted to Terrorburn?
I was thinking Mechanic, and I have a Beast Tamer at level 1 I've never touched, so I was thinking about doing that one too. But I've heard some people say you can't Terrorburn a Beast Tamer. So I'm not sure if like I can or not.
So if you want to Terrorburn, it has to be on character creation. So we may have to make sure first that Beast Tamer will be creatable then.
I can't like use one I previously made.
Yeah, exactly. You would have to remake a new character. Yeah. The one character you can Terrorburn is 0, even if it is creatable. That one can never be Terrorburned, or any new class that comes out. So if like Kane comes out during a Terrorburn session, you won't be able to Terrorburn that. But Beast Tamer doesn't have that limitation, so. But yeah, it has the character creation limitation, so that can overlap. So if you have a level 1 and you're not like looking forward to that, I've heard people for Beast Tamer be very hot and cold. Some people just really don't like the class whatsoever, and they just want to Terrorburn it because it was terrible. Other people really, really like it and think the class is actually really strong, if you know what to do, and then almost that it's quote-unquote like a waste to Terrorburn on it, but it would totally depend on if you enjoy it or not. It's a pretty gimmicky class. I don't know if you saw my during the live stream, if you saw me clear CRA with it, it's a little bit all over the place, and like just setting the skill points before the run was already like, that took longer than the actual runs to figure out like where I'm gonna put all my skill points, how am I gonna level up this character.
All his skills kind of look like a meme, kind of like the bear.
Yeah. It's a huge anime. Yeah, a big anime. You take a giant tuna and slap it around the map and throw it into the Team Rocket blasting off again into the background. Yeah, you're literally summoning the circus at 5th job. Just everyone gets a party hat on and starts killing the map. Yeah, it's a huge fucking meme. Yeah, true. If you're not ready to join the circus, then just Terrorburn your way through that. And Mechanic, I think, is a solid option as well. Yeah, that sounds fine. Okay.
But if I can't do Beast Tamer, would you have any?
Right.
On that.
Yeah. So I do have a video on that on which classes I think are useful to Terrorburn. In your situation, I'd probably be looking at a character with like a good double S rank buff in your Legion that you don't have yet. Do you have the crit damage one? See, you have a Jet. Do you have a Shade or a Hayato?
Yeah, I have a Hayato at like 150-ish, and I have a Shade, but I think it's like level 30.
So Shade could be a good option if you get that one to 200. I think Shade gets kind of fun at 5th job as well, so you can kind of, get through the... It's pretty boring up to 200, so you can get through the boring part and get to the potentially fun part. Plus you get 5% critical damage for your Legion buff and a 4-block piece, which would be pretty nice. And if you don't have a 0 yet, make sure you... they're probably going to come back on the next update. Definitely create a 0.
Yeah, I have one. It's like but I never finished the act. It's like in the middle of Act 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because the Legion, the Legion block piece for extra EXP is really useful. It's a lot of experience. Like I always say this, and it's like a little bit eye-opening for people. But like if you get the 0 to 200, the Legion block piece gives you the same amount of extra experience as filling out the entire bonus experience grid on 6k Legion.
Oh wow!
So just the member bonus is the same as like the full piece grid bonus. Both are 10%.
Yeah, I might do that because I remember playing that class and it was like kind of fun.
It's also kind of gimmicky, but once you the comboing stuff, it's pretty refreshing. It's pretty new, so. Yeah, so options there. I think the Shade might be a good option for you. Get the crit damage, get the big block. You don't have too many luck characters to build on Legion blocks for, so there's not super pressure on there, right? It's like the Kadena. Are you familiar? Sorry, I kind of skipped over that. Are you familiar with the links command that I have?
Yeah. I haven't looked at this. I've mostly been looking at the wiki for this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how good the wiki is specifically. Here, I'll link it to you in Discord. So basically, I took all of the buffs of all the Legion and Link characters and I put it together because, if a character has a slightly better Link but a way worse Legion, then I don't think it necessarily should be a higher priority, right? So I kind of put all of the stats that you can get together into one giant list. And then I grouped the columns basically on like, this is good for everyone, this is only good in specific situations, this is specifically for bossing, and then this is just like the, icing on top of the cake of like finishing off getting some kind of stats better than nothing. And then this is basically nothing is the last group. And that basically led me to this general order. Of course, it's not 100% set in stone. But if you're ever looking for like, okay, what character can benefit my account a lot? Because by benefiting your account, you can level up all the other characters faster. And if you level up all the other characters faster, you can benefit your main character the most, right? It's kind of a detour in the beginning. And that's kind of where you're at. And that's probably why building on the Legion doesn't seem very fun. Because you're not getting those direct gains. You're still like building up, making your Legion leveling faster. And the main thing that's going to help there is, of course, the leveling links, right? Mercedes, Aaron, Evan, 0. And then after that is going to be the crit rate is very important. So like Phantom, Marksman, Nightlord, Beast Tamer, Bowmaster, Pathfinder. Like, because if you dump all of that crit rate into a new character and you can get them very high or even at 100% crit rate, that means all of the innate critical damage of the character is immediately gonna start counting, and all of the critical damage in your Legion is immediately gonna start counting, and that is gonna make the character so much stronger that that's just gonna increase their rate of leveling so much, because they're just gonna one-shot for much faster and two-shot for much longer than other characters, and new characters will be like 3, 4, 5, 6-shotting with their new skills, and that's just gonna make you blow through those levels so much faster. And typically once you hit like 3k Legion, you'll start feeling that kicking in, because every time you get a level up in your Legion, or a rank up I guess I should say, past a number that you can divide by 2,500, then you get 5 extra characters in your Legion instead of just 1 extra. And then 3k also has the part where your grid gets 1 bigger and you can get 5 extra characters in. So usually when you hit 3k, you start feeling like, okay, my Legion's actually doing work.
Yeah, I saw that 3k is like a big bump, but I've just been so lazy towards it.
Yeah, it's just small gains over time, just steady, slow and steady, that gets you there for sure. Okay, yeah, so the general priority, is in there. I don't know if you have any questions for now, but yeah, you can see which characters we already talked about, right? Those are all pretty high up in those lists for that very reason. And then after that is the one that gives you flat amounts of damage, and then IED and boss damage specifically to basically round out all of the bossing capability.
Yeah.
It's a lot right now, right? It's a little bit daunting, probably.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. I was gonna say I don't know where to start, but I guess it doesn't really matter if I'm just gonna get everything level 60.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Just make them, get them to 60, move on to the next one. If you liked it enough, get it to 70. If you liked it even more, maybe get it to 100. But like, if you start by just doing one a day, then a month, then 3 weeks from now, you have 4K Legion basically. And then every single character you play on, you can set the Legion, and you can move links over to the character, and then the character is going to be twice, 3 times as strong. Like for me, if I make a new character and it's on Maple Island, I put my Legion and my links on the character. Even without the links, because I can't even do that. But on Maple Island, my character will be hitting like 8.5k crits on basic attacks, just because my Legion is set to the character. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you just one shot all the way, like super far. So it will start snowballing, and 3k is when you're gonna feel that first. You're gonna feel the ball growing, basically. There's still any questions you have with that?
No, I think I'm good on that.
Okay. Good. So that will set us up for ID and for crit rate a bit more. So we have 10 ID and 5 crit rate in the current. So let's figure out crit rate first. Make sure that that's all set, because you're at exactly 100%, I believe now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good, but that's also a delicate balance. So therefore, it's important to check that out. So and you are getting 10 already from your hyper stats, right?
Yeah, let me double check.
Or 15% from level 10. Yeah.
And then I think there's like 4% coming from my Emblem.
Right.
Which kind of sucks because I wanted to get that to legendary, but I can't really touch it at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. It's good that you mentioned that. Yeah. And then 5 from the special from the event buff. Man, that fake Arcane would have been really nice about, because there's a bunch of crit like built into it. There was 9 in the Dominator and 12 in the 12 or 13, 12 I think in the weapon. So that's like a free 20 crit you're getting through that as well. That basically helps you, that like takes the edge off for everything else, so you can kind of power through. But we'll just work around that.
Like realistically, I only need 5% crit rate, right? Because if I'm at, I mean, it might hurt in mobbing a little bit, but my quintuple star at level 20 gives 5%. So realistically, without the event buff, my quintuple star is 100% crit rate. It's just the mobbing, I'm gonna be missing 5% there.
Yeah. Which would matter for your bats, right? If you're relying on bats to kill, and bats 1/20th of the time, which 5% seems very low, but it means it happens all the time, basically.
Well, the bats also have 5%. So
bats
it's
also
just
okay.
It's just for Shadow Spark.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So that wouldn't be the worst. All right. Yeah. Okay. This with decent sharp eyes. Okay, so Phantom Instinct is level 1. So level 2 there would be an extra 5% as well. So that would take care of a little bit already. And then you have the Adventure one. How much is the Adventure giving you right now? Is that 6%?
Let me check. Well, 7.
7? Yeah.
No, sorry. Yes, 6.
6? Okay. 6, and then 10 from Phantom?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 16 there. Oh, maybe we could just write it out here. 15. 16. So boost nodes, we can kind of put 5 here. You're not getting anything from soul buff, right?
No.
I think you were getting from your Legion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or I could have just checked the bottom right for the bonus here. Yeah. None in your inner ability. You have decent sharp eyes. That's 10. How much are you getting from your Legion members right now? 4 from the marksman?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, 4 from marksman. Wait, why is Legion Grid in there twice? Whoops. Good thing nobody reads this properly, so nobody corrected me yet. I can correct myself. Haha. Boom. Oh, familiar badges can give a little bit, and familiars. Do you get any crit from that?
No. I have to work on the badges, but I've just haven't been touching it. I tried doing it earlier in the week to get some of them, but the drop rate is just so low on the familiars. It takes a while.
There you go. Yeah, some of those sets are just terrible for sure. I think there's one set that gives a little bit of crit that's decent to do. I've been disconnected from the login server. Well, that's unfortunate. I believe it's the mineral badge. I think it's on the bottom right of the first page, if I'm not mistaken.
Top left of the second page.
Oh, close.
It's 3% IED for the mineral badge.
Oh, it's the IED one. Oh, wait, one gives critical damage then. Critical rate. Wait, maybe from this picture I can...
Yeah, the Rebel badge.
Oh, Rebel one. Yeah, that's the one I meant, yeah. Yeah, Rebel one is 1 crit, yeah. And that one is easy, right? That one doesn't have any bosses in it, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's just the...
Part of the oppressor ones are all in there, I think. And then just the extra monsters in the dungeon. Or in the mines.
Yeah.
And the lion badge, yeah. Oh, lion badge also critical rate? No, that one gives 1% attack, I believe. Lion badge. I think last or second to last page, somewhere on the bottom, on the top left, I think.
Yeah, 1% attack.
1% attack, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have at least one available, right? So that you can equip 2 familiars?
Yes, I can equip 2.
Yeah, so 2 ID familiars will basically be standard for now for you. That'll just be the best thing you can do. And if you're training, of course, you use the old big boy. And then whichever familiar you have that has the most defense, which is probably your IED one. That one has a 3 defense. Because the more defense, the slower your familiar gauge goes down, right?
Wait, what?
So the more total defense you have in your familiars, the slower your familiar gauge will deplete. So the longer you can have them summoned without the bar running out.
Oh, I didn't know that's how it worked.
Oh, yes, if you have any other familiar with even more defense than the official Knight E, you can just summon that one together with your spider if you're mobbing. Because that one, the official Knight E doesn't do much, right? So the defense will do something. So if you have something else with more defense, you can use that as a placeholder until you get something, crazy like auto steal or item drop, like the item acquisition later on, much later on. Until then, just you get as much defense in there so you can keep them. You can use the familiars for the max time.
Yeah, I forgot to include that, but I have one other one that gives 3%. I have a 3% crit rate familiar that has 5 defense.
Do you use that one when you didn't have the crit? You use that one with the official knight for interchange it with the drop one, I guess.
I just got the official knight like a day ago.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, I used to use that one when I didn't have 100% crit rate.
Okay. Yeah, so 15% IDs will be pretty much mandatory there. So that means that we're not going to rely on the crit there. We're currently getting 5 from the event. So that means, I'll put this in brackets because that doesn't show up in your stat window. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 56. Base crit rate is 5%, right? I think if you have nothing, you always have 5% crit rate, right, chat? Gonna puzzle this. Oh yeah, and you have the 4% from your emblem.
Yes, and then critical throw gives me 35%.
That gives you 35.
Oh.
Passive. Right, does that get us there? 35, 40. 49. 50, 60. 70, 80, 90, 100. Yeah, I think we got there. Okay. So, since this one is... This one's got to go, and this one is transient, the 5% can fill up the gap. We'll be at the 9. One other thing is that we don't necessarily want to get the crit rate in the grid once you get to 3k. Of course it can happen, but the higher you go in the grid, of course, the more you want to make sure that your critical damage can be maxed. And your IED is going to be more important. And then if you have anything left, it can go into critical rate or into boss damage. But we want to, you know, we can use the Legion grid for the crit rate, but if it don't have to, that would be nice. The other thing is, though, that right now, since you're at level 10 in the hyperstats, that does mean that if you move... So I'm looking at this like moving the opportunity cost thing again, right? So if you move 2 levels out of your critical rate and we put that into boss damage instead, we might get like 3 or even 4 levels, well, probably 3 levels of boss damage, right? So which means we lose 4% crit rate, but we gain 8% boss damage. But then in your Legion grid, 1% boss and 1% critical rate are equal, because it's just both is just 1 square equals 1%. So the value of your hyperstat points to move those around would be better than to move your pieces in your Legion board at this point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that we want to make sure that we're moving the right things around for now. So if you moved, like, let's say 4% out of your critical rate in your hyperstats, that would give you a huge benefit, or bigger benefit in the boss damage. But more importantly, probably in the IED, right? That's probably where we want it. And maybe moving some points out of critical damage for now, but moving that into boss damage and flat damage and IED will, for mobbing, be a little bit detrimental, but for bossing will be a huge benefit. So we're going to try to move the IED and the crit rate like kind of like together to see where we can move it to make sense of all of this. So the 4 crit rate is going to be gone, so we're looking at 96 and then like 91 when the event buff is over. But for the important stuff, you will be at 100, or we'll be at 96 again. And I probably want to move a little bit of points out of crit rate. So the one thing that will be nice for crit rate, I think that will be good to put on the list, will be to get the extra, to get the Phantom Link to at least a level 2. Because that'll be 5% right there. And do you have a Night Lord?
No.
The Night Lord up to level 120? No, up to 140 should be 3%, I believe. 60, 100, 140, yeah. So Night Lord to... Night Lord to 140. That will be 3%. So that's already 8% right there. That's already really nice. And then... other stuff... I guess once you level the Beast Chamber, that would be at level 140, that would be 7% as well on top of that. BT 7. And I think that will give us the mobility for stuff we need to move a little bit of the hyper stats. I think the Phantom to level 2, that would be the easiest, right?
Yeah, it's already like halfway there.
So if you get that done and you can hit the 3k Legion, then your board will suddenly have a lot more, you know, then you'll have to redo your board, right? Because you have the extra space plus 5 extra characters, so you're gonna have to start moving things around. So the easiest thing will be to take your archer pieces to just like connect through the middle to connect the outer sides. So don't have like any spillover like you have now. You have a little bit of spill, right? Into the lock and into the attack. Because we want to focus hardcore on the outside. So the most important thing is going to be to get your crit. We want to fill up the critical damage and the IED. And then we'll probably have 5 extra characters, 3, 15, 7, 7, 14, 2, 1. Should be fine. I think you have 4. You'd probably be able to put like 4 extra into critical rate even if you wanted to. Yeah. Do you have 5 characters that are level 140 at least that are not in the board yet? No, probably not. Probably not.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I have exactly 5.
That are... Wait, you have some characters in now that are 140 yet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the big thing I would say for those characters is just like daily Zakum log out, you know, if you want to, on top of the level 160s. Because those are filling 2 spots now, and if they go from 2 to 3, you're getting 50% more efficiency from their block in the Legion board. Right? So let's say that you're covering 2, 4, 6, 8. They're covering 8 now. That can be 12 if they get to 140. So that's like a whole extra level 200 character on top of what you have now, basically. It's like a free level 200 character extra by getting a few levels on your existing characters. That's how you want to look at the characters, basically. So if if you have an army of level 60s to raise your level, and then you have a bunch of 140s to actually put in, and then there's nothing in between 60 and 140, that would be fine, essentially, right? What you want to avoid is having to put level 60 or 100 characters in, or rank B or A characters in the board, because then you're losing like efficiency on the coverage. Because once you get into the outer grid, that's pretty important. So we want to be able to fill up. Yeah, so you would need some more 140, so that will take a little bit of time, but that would be fine. We can brute force our way there with rank S characters at level, or rank A characters at level 100 to 139. We'll just have to make do. But yeah, the spillover is important. You want minimal spillover, but it's impossible to not have spillover when you're like a single file line, when you only have one outer grid available, because only long pieces will fit there. But that's also kind of why the earlier pieces only are long pieces, right? All the pirates and the thieves and the mages and the archers are all just long pieces, because that makes it easier to fill the board as a result. But once you get to 3 pieces, then you start getting angles and weird things sticking out, and then that's when you need to move the pieces around. Yeah, so until you get to 3k, that's fine. And then we'll focus on the critical damage and the ignore defense and having enough critical rate. And then if there's anything left, that goes into boss damage. But I think that would be the priority, like enough crit rate to get to 100. And then all of the IED you need. That'll probably be the order, right? Yeah, crit rate to 100, full IED, and then crit damage. And then if anything is left, into boss damage. Kind of that order. Okay, but I think for critical rate we should be fine for now, because if you're only relying on 5% from the event buff, then that's good. We can definitely work with that. So the Phantom and the Night Lord, and then the Beast Tamer later. That's already like a decent amount of crit rate coming in. And then we'll have more room in the Legion board to move into pieces there if something happens, and then you can take out a boss damage, whatever you have there, to make up for it. That'll always be better, right? If you can make sure that you're at 100% crit during mobbing and or bossing, that's always going to be better than a little bit of extra bossing on top, especially in Reboot, because we already have a lot of percentage damage. So boss damage is good, but it's you know, if you can make sure that you can always deal crit and deal crit damage, that's always going to be more important. So those pieces are kind of like expendable and movable. And in Legion board, that moving around that's the simplest way of moving your stats around, right? The second simplest would be like moving your link skills around. Third simplest would be like redoing your hyper stats. Fourth would be like moving around your familiars, but you know, it depends on if you have like epic familiars with boss damage and everything, so that's way further down the line. And then the very hardest thing would be to like redo your potentials on your weapon, secondary, and emblem. So we want to avoid... Jesus, can you guys hear that? Someone's car is damaged, but they're still driving it. So that we want to avoid having to just casually redo your weapon, secondary, and emblem potentials at all costs. That's just too much money and just not feasible whatsoever. So the Legion Link progress is going to be pretty important. But I think for crit, I feel pretty confident about the crit. You?
Yeah, I feel good about it.
Yeah. The IED though is... Yeah.
Just a question about cost here. So I have like 13 character slots left I need, which comes out to about 250 mil.
Mm-hmm.
So should I just like ignore cubing altogether till I get these all to level 60, or like maybe try getting something for Meso gear wise?
How much is a character slot? Is it like 20 mil?
104,000.
Yeah, okay. So what you can compare that to, do we do any daily bosses on the Nightwalker?
Yeah, I do every single one I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also do that on the Kana and the Marksman.
Right, so that should already offset the cost for like one coupon a day, right?
True.
So you're not adding more costs on the pile. You're just reducing your income basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Ursus money, you have Maple Tour money, right? So it's not really going away from the bill that you have. It's just slightly slowing down how much you add to the 1 billion. That's how you want to look at it. And once you start getting to 100 and 140 and everything, and you start killing Zakum a bunch of times, just the money from the Zakum crystals eventually is going to pay back all the money that you spent on unlocking the character in the first place. So eventually it'll earn itself back. But for now, yeah, for now it's a little bit of the detour, the uncomfortable detour for now. But trust me, dude, it'll be worth, right? Sometimes what helps if I log into my character and I just show my Legion, how much my Legion gives, and then that puts things in perspective for people. But like, yeah, because I am at 8.5K now, so that's a little bit of far cry from where you are at. But like, I have IED completely filled, so that's 40%. Critical damage completely filled, that's 20%. And then boss damage completely filled, that's 40%. And then critical rate is at like 14% or something. And then one of the triangles in the middle, the one for main stat, that one is completely filled, and then attack is used as a slip lane, basically. So if you add all of that up, and then all of the member bonuses of 37 characters or something packed together, it's just a lot. And then all the link skills on top of that. Just yeah, it's crazy how much that gives you. I think you can compare it to... I think you can almost compare it to having like 2 weapons, 2 secondaries, and 2 emblems pretty much perfected, or like near perfected, versus just having one of each of the 3. There's like the difference between like an 8K Legion and like a 2K Legion, basically. Oh, the music is playing on this. Beautiful. So yeah, again, that's not to show off, of course, but kind of to underline the value of working on that. Links. Yeah, so the ID is still pretty important, right? We need to make sure we have a plan for that one. Wait, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, just checking. If we still have you on the line. Okay, so ID. So link skill wise, where's my ID thingy? I'll clean this thing up because use this for other things as well. IED wise, there's a bunch of Link skill and Legion buff for there as well, right? And the efficiency. I think what we'll have to do is move a little bit of crit into your IED. So probably do want to wait first until you get the levels on the Phantom, and that will already allow you to do the hyper stats from 10 to 8, and that will free up 65 points. That if you throw that into IED, 1, 2, 4, 8, so 10, 15, 20, 25. That should get you up to like level 8 IED. So go from 12% to 24%. That will already be a huge buff. But for IED, we'll use the calculator because it's like diminishing returns and percentages of what's left. It's pretty tricky. And we want to make sure that we have the exact current situation that you have, that we have all of that properly. So we're just going to start with nothing, and we're going to try to reconstruct your current ID situation so that we know specifically that we have the right situation, we're not missing any sources or something, and then we're going to use that to build on that, like, okay, what is coming in the short term, what's coming in the long term, and then we're going to compare that to your ID goals in the progression grid, right? So, what do we have?
Alright, wait.
Right now we have hyperstats at level 4, that gives you 12%, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you have one familiar. That gives you 15.
Mm-hmm.
You have your hat gives 10%, I believe.
Yes.
And then top and bottom 5 each.
Yes.
And there it's important that you do 5 each, right? And not like do 10% because it's 2 sources of 5 or something, because that calculates differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the Abzo set bonus for 10?
I'll have it tomorrow. Like after the weeklies reset, I'll be able to get the cape.
Okay, so since we're trying to reconstruct the current number, I'm not going to add it yet, but then we'll add it for future situation.
And then there's also the 10% from weapon, the Fafnir.
Yep. Okay.
And then 20% from boost node.
Right, that's going to be on the functional, so we're going to put a pin in that and come back to that when we get to the functional percentage. Right now we're trying to get the visual percentage.
Do you want me to include guild skill?
No, only 100% uptime for the screenshot. We're trying to reproduce the screenshot right now. Legion grid was 6%, right?
Let me pull it back up. 6, yes.
And do you have any members that give you ID? That would be either a blaster or a beast tamer?
No.
Okay.
So it's still a little bit under.
Oh, ambition? What level is your ambition at?
Let me pull that up. Ambition gives me 3.5%.
Okay. And do you have the boss accessory set?
Yes. I just don't remember how much it gives me. No, I don't.
Okay.
Actually.
Only up to like 5 set or something? Not the one with the...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think it's 7 set for ID and then 9 set for boss damage, so that's a bit trickier to get. Oh, and you had 10% from the current event, right?
Yeah. Yes, 10% from the event.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we're getting closer.
No, I think that's the number because you said it rounds up, or...
Well, when you were buffed, what did you add?
I added the familiar,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was it. Let me double check.
Okay, so that's the one. So the familiar we already have included now, so we still need to get... So do you have any passive skills that give you IED? I believe you have one, right? In 3rd or 4th job?
Let me...
Because if it's a skill that gives you like IED always, then we have to include that one as well.
I What was it in the screenshot? It was 56%. What did you have it at now?
Well, I have 55.36, but that's with the familiar that gives 15. So if you have some kind of passive skill that gives you 15, then that would cover that difference. But I can double check to see if we did everything. Hyperstance, passive skills. Hyperstance, best event. Best titles.
Yes, 10% from, sorry, 15% from passive skill and 4th job.
There you go. That's exactly the 15 we were looking for, right? So now it's 62.06. I see, like I said, if you have 0.1, it's gonna round up. So you have 62.06 actually, and it shows up at 63. So at the lower percentages, it doesn't really matter. But if, let's say that you think you want to go to like 95, and it's like, oh, it shows 95, but you're actually at 94.01, you're missing on the harder bosses. You're missing 3% final damage there just because of a rounding visually. So it's very important to have this. Okay, so I think we have it figured out then, right? This is what you have. All right, and now we'll go to your current functional. So we're adding the the boost nodes. 420, 420 for 20%, and that's going to be functional all the time. And then we have your passive stack buff, right? That for up to 35. That's really useful. And is there anything else that gives you IED right now?
Check.
Do you have any? You have hyper skills, but I don't think you have any IED in there, right?
Double checking.
That's more hits, lower cooldown, more boss damage, more lines. No, I think it's only damage and cooldown reduction and boss damage.
And crit rate, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, and the crit rate one, but you don't have that one level, right? The quintuple.
No, oh yeah, I don't have it leveled. Yes.
Yeah, because you have 5 points total. Yeah. Okay. There might be something in maybe Dominion gives you something during Dominion, but that's not a super high uptime. And we're not getting any.
No, Dominion's just 20% final damage.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So with all of that stacked up, okay, so it's not as horrible, right? Because you're passive, so you're at slightly over 80%. So that does mean that Vellum still takes away 40% of your final damage. So you're probably dealing roughly 60% final damage. So we're going to see if we can get that buffed. So, of the ID sources, there's some sources. So we'll see which one. Like Ambition is going to slowly level up over time. It's a pretty small number. I'm not going to like min max with increasing that. That's going to be like a rounding error basically. So we'll leave that one for now. Equip base stats. This is for this one, the Abso set bonus is going to come into play, and how close you are to that, and then Monster Parker Medal if you're working on that. So tomorrow you're getting your set bonus for Monster Parker Medal. Are you actively working on that as well?
I have to check how close I am. I think I'm pretty far because I only. Let me see.
Do you generally just do the free runs, or do you also do the extra ones?
I just do the free runs.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how do I check the progress of it?
Quests in progress, and then under special,
quest,
and then there should only be like 2 in special, or special content or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm nowhere near it. Like,
special content. Okay. Yeah, so that would be something for the longer term to look into to maybe increase the expending there on doing the 5 runs a day instead. And I would advise to just do the Night Stronghold run because it's very fast. I don't know if you're doing the high level one for experience now.
No, I do the faster one.
Oh yeah, okay. It is like in general, like if you have the income to be able to support it, and it's it's 5 runs of what is it, 3.5 mil a day, so it's like 20 mil or something. Or it's 2.5? No, 3.5, right? So that would be like 20.5 mil. that would get you. Oh no, 17.5. Yeah. Okay. From that 17.5 mil, the fact that you get all of those extra boxes with those coins in them, which gives you more access to the Monster Park potions, that is just worth it. Because the extra gold potions you can use on the mules to level those faster for your Legion. You can use the green potions and the red or blue potions to just make them stronger in the beginning. And then that combined with once your Legion points start taking off and you can start getting Legion coupons, they'll just help you level up those other characters so much faster as well. So that would be something to be worth looking into to getting those 7 runs a day instead of just those 2. You know, if your schedule allows that, of course. And then, of course, you know, you can speed up getting to the medal as well, which is a 10% IED. And then, again, that has a very low opportunity cost because medals have, like, there's nothing there to really gain. So if you can get 10% IED there, that's actually really cool. A guy is saying that Nightwalker mobbing is insane. Should I call the police? Like, good? It can be really, really good later on, yeah. Once your bats start killing very quickly, the Nightwalker mobbing. At one point, Nightwalker mobbing was actually the best in the game. With old totems in a certain map, Nightwalkers were able to get 1.2 bill an hour in a certain map. But with the Kishin changes, they were brought a bit more in line with other characters. Okay, then WSE potential lines. We'll probably have to look into at least one of those lines, at least temporarily. Why? Because the boss set from Superior Golix, that's probably not going to come for you for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I only have the belts, and I have about 400 coins.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're doing party runs or carry runs every now and then?
No, I just solo hard.
You solo hard, okay. And how did you get the belt?
I got a carry run and got really lucky for that one.
Nice. Hey, sometimes lucky, dude. So that's just how we get big progress. No, that's fine. Okay, and you're soloing hard. Have you looked into maybe like partying for hell? I know it's a bit, it's literally hell. Can be a bit tricky, but the coins are instant, so everyone gets their own. So if you have other people who are in the same situation as you, you could. See if maybe it's worth grouping up and doing hell together.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that. I generally like solo because I kind of get to see how I'm progressing wise based on how fast I take it down.
For sure, yeah. And yeah, it can be a bit tricky with planning and everything with other people. It can also be a bit tricky, of course. But yeah, the small chance of superior, of course, and more runs, more coins every day. But you only have one run. It's and there's no practice mode, so. That is, it's a bit risky, but that's an option, just to put that out there. But yeah, because the superior, and because, Legion takes a while to build up and you don't get that 40% stack overnight, because those two major sources, 30% and the 40%, take a while, typically it's advised for everyone to get at least one line of IED on their weapon secondary on Emblem. Or Emblem. At least one line. Hopefully 40%, but maybe a 35 or 30, to kind of ease the progression towards getting that done. And then whichever comes first, the big Legion or the big, or the Superior set bonus, whichever one comes first, then you reassess to see if you still need the line on Weapon Secondary and Emblem. So for now, I will add the 10%, right, for Abzo. Abzo set 10, because I don't think I did that yet. Nope. And then the other one would be, and then I'll add one line of WSE, at least the 30% line. But I think 2 wouldn't even be crazy to get right now, but we'll see. So Legion Grid bonus will get up to 13, right? So we'll take away the 6, and then we'll switch it Legion Grid with 13. I'll add that here. Boom. And then the Legion member bonus. Yeah, I guess that would be if you can level up the Beast Tamer again. How high does that go? We're doing some maths here. And they said this was a children's game. That would be a 3% at level 140. If you Terra Burn that one, that would be a 5%. BT 5. Oh. And the blaster eventually will get in there, right? But that's like a 3%, just putting it in there for completion. But you see, it's, you know, not that important. But that's like part of the things on the list. And then link skills, when you're bossing, the go-tos, we can see again here. For ID would be, of course, you could use the 0 if it's high enough level. What are you currently using for ID? Are you using any?
No, nothing.
So mainly like the damage ones, yeah, Korora. Yeah, you're basically just using whatever you can get, right? But this is a little bit of a mobbing setup, like a hybrid mobbing setup kind of thing.
Yeah, the only thing I do is like take out the Aaron or Evan one for Angelic Buster when I'm bossing, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. When your Legion is at this point, you just have like one setup that you you just use for every situation. Doesn't make much sense to go too crazy min-maxing there. Okay. Alright, so we will want to introduce definitely the Luminous, and then potentially the 0 Ho-Young, and then maybe the Explorer Mages. The Explorer Mages will be a little bit further down the line, but they give are you familiar with the stacking and everything on the on link skills?
Yeah. I do that with Kana.
With which one?
Kana, I have 2 Kana ones that I equip.
Oh, yeah. So that's for extra options for switching, but there are also link skills that you can stack together as long as they're from different skills within the same branch, different characters within the same branch. So like with the Thief link that you have, right? So now it's level 2 because from your dual blade, right? But if you made a Shadower and or a Night Lord, you could also stack their link skills with this, and it would stack in the same slot, and it would go up to level 4 and then up to level 6. Oh, you're doing this with the archers, right? Like with the Explorer archers.
Yeah.
So with the
Pathfinder and Marksman.
Exactly. So this way you can get like added benefit into the same slot without needing an extra slot. So with the Explorer mages, that could get you up to 9% damage and 9% IED if you give the boss debuffed, which you would do all the time. And then that debuff and the other debuff would also help you with the Kadena debuff, right? Which, honestly, the Kadena is also a good one to eventually get to 120, because that gives you 6% more damage as well, as long as you're higher level than the monster, which on a boss you pretty much always are, right? And if it's debuffed, which it pretty much always is going to be. So that's a standard 6% damage there again as well. But you know, that's on the list of slowly getting to 100, right?
So instead of burning a mechanic, would it be better to burn an IED character and just max it out completely?
Well, yeah, so like in your current situation, you could also choose to burn... do you generally like mage characters, or are you not much of a mage character player? Because you don't like the Kana, I don't know.
I had an old reboot account that I had a 190 Luminous on. Or, wait. Yeah, Luminous. I always get the name confused with Ilium.
Yeah, the names are a little bit too similar. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I enjoyed that class.
Okay.
I haven't really tried out any of the other mages besides Kana.
Okay. Yeah, the main one for getting IED in the short midterm would be the Lumi. So if you're okay with leveling that one on itself, then I wouldn't use a Terror Burn on that. But again, because Lumi gives you the IED chunk, and increasing an existing chunk of IED by a percentage is better than introducing a new source of the same percentage. If you could get the Lumi all the way to 210 for the level 3 link skill, which is 20%, that would be pretty significant, and that would help your Nightwalker and any other character on your account as well. But if you get it to quote-unquote only 140, it'll already be 15%, which is already pretty nice. So if you're like, okay, maybe I like this character, maybe I want to have it as a side character, maybe even do some bosses with, and if I get it to 210, you know, the 5th job skill, the skills are pretty nice, I can get the 20% IED. If that's an option that you see more value in than the mechanic, then you could go for that instead. That would also be a solid option.
Hmm.
But I'll at least put the Lumi link at 15 in there. And I think we can put the 0 in there, right? For 10%. And I don't know if you have a Ho Young at this point.
I do, but it's like level 40.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm just going to squeeze that in there for now with the 10%. So now we're looking at a functional ID, because I think familiar is badge. You'll probably get at least one badge with like 3%. You know, again, just putting it in there for completion's sake. That minor one. Right, and then the one thing we'll need to do is to readjust your hyperstats. So that one is now 12%, and I think we can get that one to level 8 instead for 24. And now we are basically golden. That would take us very close to 94 functional.
Yeah,
which that's looking a lot better, right? So then
yes.
instead of getting 39% final damage reduction, we're looking at getting 12% final damage reduction. Or yeah, around 12. Yeah, so instead of doing 61, we're doing 88. So that's not quite half, not quite 50%, but like 40% damage output increase because of the IED. Yeah, and then there will be additional sources, right? So you'll gain levels, you'll get even higher on the hyperstats. You might even be able to get that 1 to 10 eventually. We're looking for like a second familiar, right? With another 15%. We're looking for an even bigger chunk in your Legion grid. We're looking for ambition leveling. We're looking for the IED in your... maybe you'll do the Explorer Mages for like another 9% there. The event buff is going to go away, by the way. That's important. Where's the event buff? The event buff is going to go away, so we have to take that one into account. But there's buffer here, right? There's mobility. But it does mean, work a little bit on the Beast Tamer, work on the Blaster, the Lumi, the Zero, the Ho Young. Like, those are going to be important. And getting the Legion grid to at least 3k to accommodate this. But if the Legion grid gets even bigger, this one will be able to go up to like 40. Or if Superior Galax comes, whatever happens. And as soon as this goes into like 96 territory or something, then you can just take the chunk of the 30% from your WSE out. Where is it? The big chunk. And you'll still be at like 95. So it's... And then that's the time when you have saved up enough money, right? And then maybe there's a cube sale or something, but that's the time when you're like, okay, now I could just mass reroll. Was it the emblem? Was it the secondary? Was it the weapon? Whoever got the IED? And then just go for full attack or attack and boss, depending on what item it is on that one. So I think that sets us up for IED. So not as dire of a situation as it seemed, right? Your passive skill and then your stack passive help a lot. And then of course boost nodes are big, so all of those things do come in clutch to work together. And set bonus, yeah. You feel confident about that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it seems like it's mostly just the Legion that...
Legion that links together is a lot, yeah. The extra familiar will help a lot as well for now, but I think getting one line on weapon secondary or emblem will take a lot of pressure off of needing like all of the Legion and all the links right now. So if you get one of those to legendary and get one chunk of ID on there, that'll definitely carry you over until all of the other things come online, and then when everything else comes online, then you can roll out of it again. Right, that all makes sense for ID?
Yep.
Cool. So then specifically for your gear, so like your friends were saying, like getting the extra meso and the drop rate, that's probably a good idea, right? So that you can get some more money while you're training.
Have, one line.
Mm-hmm.
And
one
then,
line of meso, yeah, I see that, okay.
Yeah, and then for the rings, I'm about at like 1,800 event coins.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to get the Chaos Ring soon.
Mm-hmm. The Chaos Ring is a bit expensive. But yeah, like it's up to you. If you want to get the Chaos Ring, you can get the Chaos Ring. The thing is with Neo, they're also going to be pretty expensive, but Neo is getting even stronger rings that you can get.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you've bought out the nodes in the current shop.
I honestly don't think I'm.
So there's flat nodes, and then there's stacks of nodes, and there's boxes with random amounts of nodes. There's like 3 different ways of buying nodes for like a total of like 8,000 coins or something. So there's probably some nodes available left, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there is.
And they're all transferable as well, so you could buy them on the Kana if you want, move them over to your Nightwalker. So I think what would be more efficient is to focus on getting the nodes in the shop right now, and then go hard on Neo to try to get the Neo rings, because those are going to be stronger even than the Chaos Ring. Even after you reroll that to perfect stats, those new ones are going to be even better than that. They're 40 all stat and 25 weapon and magic attack, like out of the box. And those will be perfect placeholder rings, because they're basically equivalent to like a 17-star ring. So they will make it so that you don't have to overspend on even getting damage rings in your set. And if you probably roll them hybrid, right, with drop or mezzo and a little bit of stat on them for now. And then eventually, once you go like Kana Treasure, Superior, you know, Reinforced, Meister, once you start doing all of that, like past 17, then they will be like retired as drop rate and mezzo rings. But until then, they'll just be your damage rings as well and give you a solid chunk of damage. I think that might be a more like efficient way to go, because Neo is pretty close. It's only in like just over 2 weeks, so.
But do you think it would be worth it to try to get the heart from the event, since they don't have one?
To put it bluntly, no, I don't think so, because it's a level 30 item. Like, it's at this point you'd be throwing your money away for how little you can gain from it. I think you have plenty of things to spend money on, and that heart would just be like a distraction from making you move forward. And it seems pretty common these days that they have every big event has like one android with a Ledium heart coupon, and I think it's pretty fine that you can get one like 6 months from now, 12 months from now, you know, if you're still playing. Then you can get one then. Once everything is like legendary, and you know you'd have to spend multiple billions to even get like a little bit of percentage anywhere, then it makes sense to get the heart and just roll a little bit and just get like a very easy like 7% stat or something. But until then, there's so many more gains to make with that kind of money, because yeah, the level just isn't there. It's level 30. It's blah. Like I think at max level it's like, does it go up to 12% or something at max level? That's like one line of legendary stat, right? On a regular level item, so it just doesn't compare. Yeah, so with that said, I think it would be a good idea to get your mezzo and drop rate up, as long as, of course, it doesn't hurt your kill speed. The main thing that you would be looking forward to is like a 30% off Starforce event to push everything to 15. So until you see an event like that, I would just spend on one item at a time, one accessory at a time, to try to get it to legendary with a line of mezzo or drop. If you have mezzo or drop, move on to the next item, and just go purely in quantity of lines, just as many as you have. And then you have 9 accessories, right? So you want to get 5 with drop, 5 with mezzo, 4 with drop, between the 9 accessories that you have. And I would probably focus on it's a little bit annoying because you have 2 lines of legendary already. So you're working on the tattoo and maybe the monocle to like go for drop / mezzo on those, and then keep your Zakum for damage for now.
Yeah, my Zakum stuff, I got pretty lucky on those rolls. I'm really far away from the monocle. Like I just had enough to get the tattoo.
Yeah, that's fine then.
2 days ago.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would just do one accessory at a time, and just level it up, because essentially you're not going to lose any kill speed, right? You're gonna, because you have 6% luck, maybe 9, and then eventually when it's legendary, it'll have a line of drop or mezzo and have 6 or 9% luck on it as well. So you're not going to lose any kill potential there. But in the meantime, all your other gear is going to get stronger, your boost nodes are going to get better, your arcane power is going to go up, and that's going to be what's driving your killing potential, not so much the accessories and the things that are getting mezzo and drop. So the potential on that is not super important. So as long as you get mezzo or drop, move on to the next one. And then once everything has mezzo or drop, or you're like, let's say that you're at like 6 items with drop and 3 with mezzo or something, then you just look at which items have the stat that you technically don't need. And if they don't have stat on them as well, roll those first. If they have drop and stat, then you keep that one. Or if they have mezzo and stat, you keep that one. And then you just roll whichever one you have too many lines of. That doesn't have stat until the whole set is like 5 mezzo, 4 drop, and hopefully some have some stat on top of it as well. So if you see like an announcement in the events calendar in the Sunny Sundays that there is going to be 30% off, then maybe pause a little bit on spending the money and do some calculations on like how expensive it's going to be to get from 12 to 15, because that's going to be a really good time for you to start pushing items to 15. And then specifically the items that can go past 15, right? That's where the most important, because you want to push from 15 to 17 to get that major gain in weapon attack and stat. But yeah, the prep cost up to 15 is you want to get a 30% off for that. Or maybe sometimes the 1+1 event up to 10 could also be pretty good. But while you're still full-blown spending on your accessories to try to get mezzo and drop on there, ideally a 30% off. So you're getting the cape soon. And then the weapon. Yeah, the other thing is that there's major potential, of course, in your secondary and your emblem and your weapon still. But I assume that for your weapon, you're working towards the Abzo, right?
Yeah, I think I have 4 weeks of weeklies, or no, I think it's let me see, because I have the
14, I believe.
I have the Damien coins for it, and then I have 4 characters I can cap on.
Yep.
So it's like 3 or 4 weeks I'm away from the Abso weapon.
Okay. Yeah, which means you could just transfer hammer this one over, and then you immediately have epic and some stars on it, and the set bonus coming in. Yeah, the question is like, yeah, okay, so maybe do you feel like your kill potential is good now? Your mobbing feels like pretty clean. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, Rev 3, I'm almost full clearing. Like, I pretty much kill everything besides the stuff on top of the house is every 20 seconds when Dark Fight is up.
Right. Yeah, with the little video of you training, right? That's kind of how you move through the map.
Yeah.
Right. But because we want to get one line of IED somewhere, and because there is the potential, and then once you have a little bit of crit, right? If you get the Phantom to level 2 Link, that crit can immediately replace the crit that you're relying on for your Emblem now. Upgrading your Emblem is probably also pretty high priority. I would put that at like the same level of priority basically as getting the drop in Mezzo. If you had trouble killing, I would have put it at a higher priority. If you really want to make the progress on the bossing and kill the bosses faster and move on there, then I would have put a slightly higher priority, because if you can kill Seavel every week, that's another 53 mil or something crystal plus soul shards, all of that, some downstream effects, extra flames, extra cubes, etc. But if you're mainly focusing on leveling, then I would put it slightly below, and you have no kill potential problems, then I would put it slightly below getting the mezzo and drop rate set. So the Emblem is like right up there with them, I would say. Yeah, ideally like legendary and then one line of IED, hopefully with a line of attack as well. Just the combination of that shouldn't be too expensive. Well, relatively. Getting one item up to legendary is typically like 1 bill. And then I think rolling either 2-line attack or a line of attack and IED on an Emblem is, I think, shouldn't be over 2 bill in cost. So that's manageable in the not too super long term, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I think an accessory is, I think you count about a bill to get it to drop or mezzo. A little bit more if you have to roll a bunch in legendary if you're unlucky. So that's what you're looking at that. And then after those, if there's still no 30% event coming and you still don't have to, push everything to 15 and that kind of stuff, then probably the secondary, trying to get that one to unique and or legendary together with your weapon would be like the next thing to work on. And then I wouldn't really worry about potentials until everything is already like 15'd from a 30% off. After that, you can start worrying about potentials a little bit more and getting everything slowly up to unique. And then maybe pushing the glove to legendary because of the critical damage. But I would keep everything else at unique, probably until there's a 5 and 15 and you can push everything to 17 stars and then go harder on the potentials. That'd be like the general order I would put the upgrading in.
Okay.
And I guess then the one thing that we've kind of ignored in all of that is flaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kind of aware with flaming, like the flame value and the flame scores and how that all works?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the video and the grid as well, right? The grid as well tries to keep track of like what kind of flame scores are you looking for in what stages of the game. So based on that, you can kind of see the priority of which item has the most growth potential versus which other item. Of course, the weapon is like paramount, like above all else, super, super important. So the main thing now is probably like if the weapon still takes a little bit. Right now, the flaming priority, like, what do you think your flaming priority is now? Like, what do you think is the best thing to work on now?
Honestly, I haven't even like been worrying about flames that much.
Mm-hmm. Do you get a lot of them from bosses, or is it not that big?
Yeah, I get them a decent amount, and I pretty much just throw them on the Sweetwater tattoo. That's about it. Or the boots.
Yeah, so the Sweetwater tattoo, it does not have flame advantage, and therefore the value that you're going to get back from an average flame that you throw on a tattoo is going to be very low. Are you familiar with the difference between flame advantage and not having flame advantage?
Yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to get it like to a point where it could replace the power crystal.
Right.
And I could roll that onto Meso, but it's gonna take a while to do that.
Yeah, so the main value for the tattoo to be able to do that is gonna come from Starforce, because you lose the set bonus and you don't get flame advantage. So the tattoo is actually weaker than the condensed power crystal for quite a lot. The thing that's gonna carry it beyond is having hopefully a line of luck with the drop or the mezzo, but the main thing is going to be once you get to 15, once you get to 17 Starforce, that weapon attack and extra luck that comes in, that's going to overpower the loss of the set bonus and the worst flame. So you don't want to compensate that with the flame per se. The flames, like you said, will have much more value on your Abzo and on your CRA stuff. That's where the flames are going to be most valuable right now. So I would just compare the flame scores evenly between like your glove, your shoe, and your cape. And then a little bit lower, about like 10 to 15 flame score lower, aim for that on your CRA, and kind of like bring them up all evenly. So right now you have like 40 on the top, 40 on the hat, 56 on the pants, right? And the shoes at, well, 0, because that's one you're actively working on. And the glove is like 40. You want to like evenly bring that all up to like the CRA having all like around 70, and then the Abzo all around like 80, maybe up to 85. Like that's like a good goal to work towards. If you get the weapon, abort that project for now, and then focus on the weapon first, right? Get a tier 6 on the weapon or a tier 5 with some boss damage, right? Because of claw multipliers. But then weapon will take precedence. But then once the weapon has a decent flame, then go back to the Abzo until that all is kind of at that level. Because even with those flames, you're looking at like 50, 80, 30 across the board, so like a 90. So you're looking at like 200 to 300 luck that can definitely be gained on just those 5 items. And then the cape would add like another 80-ish to almost 400 luck just in the flames there. But of course, first we get the bossing on point, right? Then you get way more, the bossing will go way faster. You can do more bosses, way more flames income, way more cube income. But flaming is something you just do on the side. I think is the best thing to do on the side with the flames that you get passively through income, and then focus the money primarily on, cubing for the potential, getting your drop set complete, getting your secondary and your emblem on point, and then the weapon later once you get that. But then more save up money for Starforcing events until everything's at 17, and then you can think about like finishing out the potentials, maybe min-maxing the flames a little bit. That's when the money can start going to those sources.
Got it.
So yeah, I hope the splash towards the harder bosses will become easier than 2, because when C-Val is down, that means that you're looking at HMAG, Akechi, and CPAP after that. And just between those 3, that's like more than 200 mil a week just from the crystals. That's usually a nice bump in the income.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But I think with the CRA, not the CRA, sorry, with the IED that we talked about, and with the making sure that your crit rate stays on point, we won't see any. That should become quite a bit easier. And yeah, so if you care more about the bossing and you want to make the gains there faster, then disproportionately spending on the emblem and the secondary first will get you on point there. If you're more focused just in general with the leveling and just with the grinding and making more money there, and then for setting yourself up the long term more than getting the increased income through the accessories for dropping Mezzo there is going to be a bit more important. So depending on, you know, if it really starts itching that you want to get the C-Val down and you just feel like you still can't do it. But like you said, there's some room potentially there with the mechanics, and I think switching around the matrix a little bit like we talked about. Hopefully get a little bit lucky with the nodes that you open up from the shop, and then with the event rings coming in, that'll be a lot of damage increase there as well. With the Neo rings, I see a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the one last thing to mention is that once your Arcane Power gets high enough, of course, that you don't need as much in Arcane Force for the hyperstats, that's when you can start freeing up some of the points there as well, right?
Yeah, I think I can actually take a few points out of it, but I just haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so I think for now, if you do reset that, getting the IED to 8 is probably going to be a good idea. I would aim to get like everything to 8, like crit rate, crit damage, ignore defense, boss damage, like get all of those to 8. But do the Arcane Force, right? Make sure that you have enough to get your 50% to kill in the area where you're at now. And then try to get all the other ones just to 8, and then slowly work from there to get them up to 10. Because if you get into 10 a little bit too quickly, it's going to go at the expense of the other stats a bit too much. I think that's what happened now. But yeah, like we did in the calcs, you don't necessarily need to get the IED to 10, so probably boss damage will be priority, then critical damage, then regular damage. Yeah, something like that. You get your boss damage IA. Yeah, I guess for inner-ability, you just save up, right? Just save for a long time.
Yeah, I took the, because I have like 0 mesos, I took the, I had like 700k from honor from the compensation, and I rolled that all into getting legendary.
Damn,
it took about like 400k and clicking the button for like 2.5 hours, but
ouch.
I think it was worth it in a sense.
Well, I won't. I would say no. I would say no, but it's your account, so I mean, like, it's totally up to you. Yeah, because in the long term, if you want to min max your inner-ability, that can take literal millions. And in the grand scheme of things, once you start getting online with all of your accessories and stuff and making decent money, getting the money to be able to upgrade to legendary should roughly cost you like 200 mil. So like the grand scheme of things, like 6 months of honor experience versus 200 mil, which you could make, you know, in like a half hour doing 3 bosses that we're working towards. If you take that comparison, honor experience is much more of a limited resource than Mezzo is in that sense. But there is always honor experience access. So there's Legion weekly, right? If you do Legion weekly you rank high enough, you can get points and buy it in the shop there. If you get more drop rate, of course, through mobbing, you're gonna get more just from the drops from monsters. And also event shops will have honor medals. Those like often get overlooked. But that might be something that you want to look into as well. If once you have enough event currency, and there's not so much in an event anymore, that you really need. Stacking honor experience for the long run to min-max your inner ability later on in the late game or in the end game, that can be a good thing to rely on.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't even like really going for a min-max thing. I kind of want to save and then try to roll for a Meso Obtain on it, because I feel like that could also be very helpful.
Yep. Yeah, once the Legion Links comes in more, that 15% boss damage is going to lose a little bit of its shine, right, compared to the total that you have. So getting 20% Meso there will basically be like a free bonus experience, a free bonus accessory, basically. That's giving you extra money, yeah. People often say that 20% Meso Obtain is just the best inner ability for everyone. It's not too far from the truth, honestly. Should use circulators? Yeah. But yeah, not honor, but you use circulators for that, because then you can always, keep your prior, right? If you roll with honor, then you always like roll over. But if you use circulators, then you can always keep the 15% boss if you don't get what you want. And if you roll Meso, then it'll always be the top line. So it'll always be 20%. It won't be 15, 16, 17, 18, anything like that. It will always be 20. Or 17, 18, 19. I don't know what the variance is exactly. But yeah, therefore, once you have the money for that, then you can start doing it. Then that's more like a better indicator. And then just save the honor experience for long term for min-maxing. All right. We went over time a bit, but I feel like we had a bunch more stuff that we needed to address. But I think, yeah, I guess long term or like mid term, if you can get I don't know, if you can get enough money to buy the droplets from Neo, that could set you up for like long term playing. I don't know how long you're planning on playing with everything.
Yeah, I honestly just wasn't even like thinking about Arcane anything, so I haven't been buying those out at all.
Yeah, the shop is available until June 13th. Like June 13th is the last day you can buy. So that is like 3 full weeks left. It's up to 5 bill that you can spend, so you could dump your money in that you have at that point. But I expect you not to have that much money left if you're primarily focusing on getting your Meso and drop rate gear. They'll probably all just soak up all your money. And yeah, like you said, the Arcane is still pretty far away. It's really for people who are like hardcore training, hardcore grinding, making several billions a week. That can swing that kind of cash.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any questions regarding anything we went over, or any things you think you need some extra information on?
I don't think so. I have a lot of information to process. So
yeah, quite a bit, yeah. But hopefully the general order of things and how the things are connected makes a bit more sense, right? Because when people talk about min-maxing, it seems like nerdy number crunching, but I think it's important to know what get a brief introduction to the math behind it so you can see how important it actually is. Because I think with the things that we talked about, like in the next week or so, we should probably get your account to a situation where CVAL would kind of become a joke to you, compared to now being like a little bit daunting.
Yeah, it's a struggle at the moment.
But I think we set you up for that with this.
Yeah, I think I should be able to do it for the next few weeks. Get those link skills up.
Yep, a sub bonus for Abzu coming in. A lot of stuff. Okay, if anything pops up, I'll upload it on YouTube, of course, in a little bit, and then I'll probably do it tomorrow because of my internet stuff. But if anything pops up, like because of the situation, because of the session or something that you still wanted to ask, just hit me up on Discord. And otherwise, you know, for any questions in the future, I'll always be streaming live on Twitch, so you can always hit me up there.
Yep, got it.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, best of luck. And
right.
I guess not tomorrow on the Starforce sync. You get to sit that one out. But good luck on the tiering up and on the cubing and on everything.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. See you around.
See ya.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, we went over a lot of stuff. It was a little bit longer than usual, but you know that's on me. Okay, that's on my time. But I think we made a lot of solid progress. I think he got a lot of stuff out of this, so I think he's happy. So that makes me happy. Hopefully, for you guys watching at home, that was also at least a little bit educational, and you learned to put some things into better context with each other and comparatively. I saw some people in chat yelling like, "Oh, wait, that's how that works." So that was it was already effective for at least 1 or 2 people in my chat during the live on the live session. So if you guys found this interesting, I'm glad. As always, if you want one of these sessions as well, check the description of the video, and there you can also find information to either join my guild on NA or EU in Reboot if you want to. Excuse me. Or if you have data from me in the form of battle analysis, monster skill per hour in Arcane River, or training videos in Tenebris, that took a little bit. If you have any of the information, check the description and you can submit it to me. I'll be very thankful to you, because that's information that I need to give advice back to the players, because I obviously can't play all the classes in all the stages of the game. That's a little bit too much. We have almost 50 classes, which is crazy. Currently working on Bishop Project CRA, and as always, I'm streaming live on Twitch, so come watch if you are interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.